Hey, Gary Parker here. So I want to mention use of calculators in this class. You really have to have a calculator for this class, but you shouldn't really go out and buy one. If you do, you don't need to spend very much money. So I have a page here on calculators, and I'm going to use a spreadsheet. I prefer Google Sheets, but you guys have access to Microsoft Excel with your student email accounts. Google, you search for a expression, will turn into a calculator. And then I like Desmos, so I just want to demonstrate a few of these. If you do really want to buy a handheld calculator, if you don't have one, then don't spend any more than like 15 bucks. So for example, if I just go to a new Google search screen and I type something like 2 + 2, it's going to whip out a calculator, and this is a scientific calculator, so I can do all kinds of complicated calculations. Really anything I need to do with this class, I can do here. If you have an Android phone, this is what the Android calculator looks like when you turn it sideways. If you have an iPhone, the calculator that comes with the iPhone sucks. Don't use it. Instead, I recommend Desmos Scientific Calculator. So not the graphing one. We're not going to do hardly any graphing here, but the scientific one. And there is a phone version, which I have on my phone, and I use it all the time as my standard phone calculator. And it pretty much just looks just like this on my phone, except obviously phone shaped. And this is a fantastic calculator. Like if we type something like maybe 96 divided by 100, right? I get the decimal version of it there, but it also will convert to fraction and reduce it, which is wicked cool. And you can use previous answers. So I can do something like take 57 and multiply it by that previous answer and update it. Maybe I do something like I start with the number 5, and then I want to take that answer and multiply by 2. And if I repeatedly hit enter, it's just going to keep multiplying by 2, right? 10, 20, 40, 80, and so on. So excellent scientific calculator. So again, on a phone, if it's an Android phone, the default Android calculator is great. If it's an iPhone, the default calculator sucks. Get Desmos Scientific. Spreadsheet stuff. So for example, here I have a spreadsheet related to lesson 1.1, where we were told the number of children gunned down each year since 1950 has doubled. What does that mean? So let's just blow this up a little bit and start over. So generally, when you use a spreadsheet, you don't just type numbers, you label them too. So I want to keep track of the year here and number of children gunned down. And I was told to start in 1950, so I just type numbers. And let's guess that there were, say, 5 children gunned down in 1950. And then I want to figure out, okay, if it doubles each year, then what happened in 1951? I can double that in my head and just call it 10. But what I really want to do is calculate it. So on a calculator, right, you type numbers and then hit enter or equals or return, something like that. On a spreadsheet, you type equals to do a calculation. Now, instead of typing the number of 5 above, I'm just going to click on it, and the computer is just going to use whatever it finds in that cell, B2, and asterisk, which is Shift 8 on your keyboard, is multiply. And I just want to multiply that number by 2. Now, the cool thing about this formula, I'm going to double click on it, and notice it highlights the B2 cell above. It's going to take whatever is in that cell above and double it. Even cooler, if you click back on that cell and then point to the bottom right corner, you get what's called the autofill button. And if you autofill a formula, it'll try to repeat what the formula did, which means double the number above. So although it recorded equals B2 times 2, which means whatever's in the cell above, when it copied it down, it changed the B2 to a B3, and then a B4, and then a B5. So it's always looking in the cell above. In a spreadsheet, this is what's called relative cell referencing, and I'll go over this often in the class. So again, a formula like that, you can fill down a single instance of the formula. So there's an instance of the formula. Click back on it, fill it down a ways. These numbers are scientific notation. I'll mention that in a minute. It's going to happen on lots of calculators. Now, the 1951, that I can't just fill down because it's just a number, right? So that didn't work very well. To fill down a pattern of numbers, you need a pattern of 2 of them. So in this case, I'll highlight those 2 numbers, then let go, then point to the bottom corner, and then the computer will say, oh, you want to go every other year. You could do something like 1950, then 1960. And then if you highlight that pattern of 10 years apart, so it's highlight, let go, then point and click on the bottom right corner, it'll fill down by 10. So it'll fill by any fixed amount, 1, 2, a half, 20, 100, but it always has to be that same fixed amount. Notice these are not all the same fixed amount change. So this trick does not work for this column, only for numbers that are equally spaced. So let's see where we're at. All right, so I got up to the year 2015. We were asked for that problem to go up to the year 1995. Let's highlight that. Oops, that's not highlight. There's highlight. And sometimes on a spreadsheet, I need to reformat things. So if that was money, I would just hit the money button, but it's not. I want to format the number, and I can see it gives me an example here, commas. Now it gives 2 decimal places. I can always here decrease the decimals. So what is that? Ones, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, 175 trillion kids gone down in 1995. There aren't that many kids on the planet. There aren't that many people on the planet. All right, so something's wrong with that statement, according to this. Anyway, but the point here is a spreadsheet is a calculator. You can do any calculation, equals 2 plus 2. If you forget to type equals and you do something like 2 plus 2, it'll just say, yeah, cool, 2 plus 2. So again, to do a calculation, you got to start with equals, and you can type in anything you want. That is a mathematical calculation. Oops, except maybe that. So calculators, don't need to buy one. Most of your work is on the computer. So either use Google as a calculator, get something like the Desmos Scientific, and occasionally I'm going to ask you to use a spreadsheet, and I'm going to demo in my videos all the time. Take care, do good math. See you soon.